6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? Gossip news, gossip news, gossip, 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 gossip.
Welcome, lovely, dapper folks, to the Fox Den this evening. I'm your debonair host, Mr. Fox Squire. We have for your viewing pleasure the amazing founder and co-founder as my company for this evening. But first, before I allow them to introduce themselves, let me pay just a few of these bills up in here. Shout out to the head nerds in charge for bringing me on to the greater HNIC network. Make sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe to Head Nerds in Charge on YouTube and on all other platforms. Go to headnerdsincharge.com and pick up some merch and sign up for the Patreon. That's headnerdsincharge.com. Without further ado, let's embrace the spectacle and dive in with our guests. Hello, hello, hello. So I am so excited to have you guys here. Now, we'll be going by Fae names this evening. So Lord Strife and, I'm going to get this wrong. I think I might get this wrong, but you can correct me. Halcyon?
Halcyon, yeah, you got it.
Yes, first time. Halcyon is the founder of Black Fae Day. Well, let me back Black Fae Day official and blackfaeday.com. And Lord Strife is the co-founder. Now, the story of how Black Fae Day came to pass is actually beautiful, but the actual day was a selection by you. So if you could tell us a little bit of that story of how you thought it up and how you thought that this could happen here.
Yeah, it kind of was serendipitous. Like I was on the internet and we had just done 28 Days Black Cosplay, and I was still kind of riding the high of seeing all these beautiful costumes, just celebrating our talents and folklore and things like that. And I didn't want that feeling to go away. I was just so inspired and kind of like in March feeling like, come on, like we need this to happen like all year round. And so I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't see any Black Rapunzels. I don't see any, dragon slayers that look like us. And I was just kind of speaking my wishes and hopes and dreams out into the Twitterverse, and it caught fire. Like a lot of people felt the same way. So I created Black Fae Day on March 10th, and I asked everybody to celebrate with us on May 8th of last year in their fairy and fairy tale attire, just to celebrate us in fantasy too, because we do deserve representation.
Now, you picked May because, if I'm not mistaken, based on what I was reading, this is your grandmother and mother and your birthday month. Is that correct?
Yeah, the year before heavy quote COVID lockdown, we had a cost Zoom party. So we dressed up and we had a lot of fun. And I thought, well, what if we could do this, online with everybody? It sounded like a fun thing to do. And so May 8th had come around and I was like, I didn't know if I was going to be able to see my family members because of COVID or what, but I still needed that day to be special. And this 2021 was a particularly challenging May week, just because my sister was in Arizona having brain surgery, and on the same day, and my aunt was having brain surgery. My grandma, it was just like a lot of
Things.
heavy things that were going on. So I needed something positive anyway to kind of keep me motivated and happy personally. But I also did want this for the community. I wanted us to celebrate and have some positive things going on because while that was a unique situation for me in my home, all of us were going through some stuff and needed,
Whew.
some escapism, I think.
Now, Lord Strife, you are the co-founder. Now, if I remember the story correctly, you were with her when she was celebrating her birthday, and I think you were also one of the encouragements, not just to put this together, but also to look at all this social media that happened, because I think that she was not paying attention to it that day because there was, of course, a lot going on personally. Is that all correct? And you were physically there. I think you were visiting, if I'm not mistaken, from the story.
Yeah, I was there visiting, and we were out at the park with some friends and stuff. Well, they're friends now. They were just kind of gathered there and met up that day, and they were in their Faye costumes and outfits, and had the kids and stuff out there. So she was consumed with that, and seeing, she loves kids, so seeing the little kids run around and just seeing the small group of people that dressed up, like that was good enough for her. But me, I'm like, okay, let's see, because I know she wasn't gonna be like looking and stuff. And the term co-founder is loose. This is all her idea. This is all her thinking. I was a little bit of the muscle. I was going around and popping in groups and making sure I had consistency, because I don't like to be one of those people that just jumps in the group and like, hey, look at this thing we're doing. So, I was making sure I was active in those groups. But then every once in a while, I'd be like, hey, Black Faye Day. And so,
Right.
to drive more people to the groups and stuff like that. And, just on that day, I was like looking at stuff and checking Twitter and seeing what other people were saying. And apparently we had made it up to at least number 2
Yeah.
on Twitter that day, possibly higher, but
I was like, it was number 1 for at least a moment in time, if I remember, because I was checking it. I saw it and was looking at it as well. And Luis
okay, so there's an
is
update.
stating you're the keeper.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to go see like how high something specifically got. When I was looking, it was like number 6 or number 4 or something like that. And then somebody else was like send a screenshot or something of it being number 2. And
yeah.
So number 1, okay, that's an update.
At least that's what I saw when I looked at the trending, because I had never seen anything like that. So it was one of the reasons I was so excited to have y'all come through, was because I was like, oh my gosh, I remember that all happening, and I'd never seen anything like that before. So I was like, when I saw it hit number 1, I was like, whoa, what is this? I just saw these picnics and a lot of us just being beautiful and full of Faye life. I think you at one point called it a family, which is very cute. I was like, oh, so many big hearts. So yeah, and
our family twerking in the park.
yes.
Family and those who follow are the Fabies, and she's got it's a shirt that says Fabi and has her definition.
I think there's a book as well that I think there was like a little girl in the front. It was something I was seeing when I was looking up stuff, but I can't remember the name of the book. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the book.
Now I know my Fabi sees.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Fabi sees. Now the other part of this, now you two are partners, like life partners outside of this. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And now my thought for this is, how did you two find each other in the middle of all this? Because it's not like, oh, we go out and see, like nowadays, I think I see a lot more Black Faye in the ethos, but I wasn't seeing a lot of this before the Black Faye Day official and Black Faye Day hashtags were even up there. So how did you two come together?
Oh, personally, like dating wise?
Yeah.
It's really
Is
funny because we met in a cosplay group and we were not cosplayers at the time. But we started noticing each other and talking, and a mutual friend of ours was just like, I did this. I put you guys together because it was her group.
yeah.
But
It was a by chance
yeah.
mutual friend because I was explaining this yesterday that I wasn't friends with her, and this she sent me a friend request. Well, her name's Jasmine too, but the other person, she sent me a friend request, and it was just so random. I'm like, I messaged her. I'm like, who are you? Like, what's up? What you want? And she was like, oh, I was in a group. There's a thing here called Game Jacks. It's like GAAM, and they do like little non-conventions, cons that and like kind of get together and kind of commerce-based things to highlight artists and cosplayers and stuff like that. So apparently she was in the group in the Facebook group too, and her account got closed out, so she made a new account and added me as a friend. And I guess she was just adding people that she thought she was friends with. And so she added me, and then after that, I was like, all right, well, I'll add you. And then a little bit later, I got invited to the cosplay group, and I was like Jasmine said, I don't cosplay. I'm out here thugging in these streets. Like, what? And
I
so
got
I
things to do.
joined, and I said that when I joined, I'm like, well, I never cosplayed, but I got invited, so I'm here. And then so we saw each other on a couple of times on like introductory posts and other comments and things that we made, and you know, what can I say? She fell in love.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. I'll let her have it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So going from where you were at as far as not cosplaying to now where like I see the butterflies, I see you have these great horns on. How did each of you get here? Was it something you guys discovered together, discovered separately and then came together? How did that come about?
Jasmine embodies magical, whimsical, like you know, like she got me dressed up like this. Like that's like just off her energy is just, you know, so it's not just like somebody random came up with this thing. This is literally like the embodiment of her personality and how she wants the world to be. She wants the world to be magical. She wants everything to be whimsical. She wants to be able to skip and spin around a pole and go look at flowers and be amused and amazed at all of the nature and everything going on. So it's not just, it's not out of context, the group. It's not like something somebody randomly came up with and then was like, oh, why am I doing this? Like, this is exactly what she's all about.
Yeah. I'm just lucky that he hears me talk about this stuff and he just jumps in like, okay, like that's what you want to do. What color horns do I need to be? Do I need to wear the claws and the fangs too? Like how far do you want to go with this? So
And then you said all
he's
the
like,
way. All the way.
all the way. Yes.
Yes.
So
Free of black.
we
Yes. No, go
it
ahead.
comes from a very authentic place. Like I feel like growing up, I always wanted to see myself in fairy tales and in folklore. And I grew up in New Mexico in a little town called Clovis, New Mexico. And, you know, when I was growing up there, maybe 2% of the population of the whole state was Black. You know, like it might be 2 million people in the entire state altogether. So it's a very small community with, you know, my family culture was Black culture. Like we were the Black people. So being able to express myself this way and then learn about what Blackness is in the South and what that looks like, what Blackness is in like New England areas and Philly and in New York, you know, I got to experience these different stories and these different people through this group. And it's really crazy for me because I'm like, it was just us, you know, in the Southwest. And you know, I'm fourth generation. So like New Mexican culture is all I really have experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm learning about, you know, Aziza fairies from West Africa. I'm learning about all this stuff that I never heard of. I'm like, yeah, I grew up and I knew about chupacabras and, you know, skinwalkers and La Llorona, but I didn't know about Mami Wada and, all the different folklores that we have. And so it's been a gift for me to experience all this as well.
Now, when it comes to choosing, as you were shaping your cosplays, your characters, and the things that you embody with these characters, was it you? I know that Lord Strife was saying, "Oh yeah, you like to, prance around, and you like all these things." And did it just seem natural? Like, I'm going to add butterflies, and I'm going to add this type of color, or was there an inspiration from a specific, like, oh, because I've talked to people, and they're like, "Oh, I watched Tinkerbell, and that's where I got my first thought of this," or was it I read this book or anything like that for either one of you? Because I know you're definitely giving two different energies that come together with very much the light and the dark. So I'd love to hear that from both of you, of where that came from.
I feel like I'm the creative side of this journey. I find inspiration in anything, really. A leaf can blow, and I'd be like, I want to make a shirt with leaves and twigs and a crown out of dirt. Like I can really see a lot of things. But this particular look was inspired by Mary Bell from Encanto. Some people saw me with curly hair. It was like, oh, you remind me of her. And then when my family saw Encanto, that was the character that my family said that I was most like. So I have the Colombian butterflies and my curls to kind of remind me of that story. But it inspired the look today.
Fantastic. And Lord Strife, your look, I know that she's the creative and definitely like had the discussion of like horns or whatever it is, but you going to that darker look to your Fae, where was that? Where did you find that inspiration?
Well, like I said, I was out here thugging in these streets, so I had to still keep it G. You know what I mean? So, I decided I did a lot of research, not just for me specifically, but as I said, I've supported her through this, and a lot of people will come at you thinking that your movement or your what you want to do is coming from a place of ignorance. And if it doesn't sound too arrogant to say this, I'm a very intelligent person. So with that in mind, I researched and established the Black presence and participation in all of these things and understanding of the etymology and colloquial use of the word "fae" and different stuff like that, because a lot of people will come at you thinking they're gonna catch you slipping. So I researched a lot of fae, and I would do something called the Fae of the Day in the groups that we were doing to kind of inspire and educate people on different type of entities that are considered as fae today. And one of those things that I saw was that angels and demons are actually considered fae, and there's backstories and things that go with that, that lore and stuff like that. And there's different categories and cast of demons, and I'm a red-eyed demon. I don't have any red eyes today. I got my little ring with the red eye on there though. So and the reason being is because the red-eye demons are the ones who don't report to a higher demon or any type of leader or anything like that. They kind of do their own thing, and that's pretty much been who I've been my life. I'm not been a follower really, so I felt like that really fit my persona.
Perfect. That's fantastic. I love that there is this backstory. And I was even, as I was looking and doing some research and stuff, more research than what I've already done, I noticed that you guys have another side where you have houses set up. Not you personally, but there are houses that you're recognizing as the day is getting closer. How did the houses come out of all of this? Because that's a whole other a whole other entity of this. And I love that there's so much lore and like storyline to this. So that's what I want to know is more about these houses and how they're, oh, we're going to recognize this house, or do they contact you? Like, where are the houses coming from?
Yeah, if there's anybody watching that loves like sociology and those kind of studies, you really need to hang out in our groups because it's a whole different little society within our group actually. But the story of the fairy houses came about organically. The group was kind of throwing ideas around, and we're talking about, oh, well, wouldn't it be cool if we had like a sorting house hat for like fairies and our community instead of like Harry Potter houses or something like that. And so some people are like, well, there's already the Seelie and the Unseelie court. Like that's a thing that exists in the fairy world. And so the conversation just continued to grow and grow and grow. And someone said, well, we can make our own houses. So those houses were born, and we just let people know about them and said, hey, if you enjoy baking, there's a house for you. If you're a person that loves to take naps, there's a house for you. It was all kinds of different, is anything you could think of, somebody had made a house for it. There's so many. I think we started with like over 30 houses. And since then, very people, we come and go as we please. They'll show up again, but we still have some active houses, and it's exciting to watch how they have their own code of conduct. They have their own traditions that they're creating together. It's just a whole exciting little environment to be around.
It's definitely a microcosm. I am part of the Discord, and I've been looking at that, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, it's definitely something I'm like, okay, I want to read about this house and I want to know more. So there's a lot of really good, amazing content in that I never really thought of when I think of Black Fae, and the whole experience reminds me that we are here. It's one of the same things that I see in sci-fi whenever there was a whole long, still, there's a lot of sci-fi that comes out that's just not us. There's no brown people in the storyline, in the movie. And I'm like, where do you think we're going to go? What, you think we're not here? We're here. And I think it's the same with the Fae. When you get into that fantasy, I saw that your last post, you were talking about the Final Fantasies. I forgot what the creature was on that, from that Final Fantasy. Do you remember what
Vera.
Say it again?
The Vera.
Yes.
Or Vera.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's Vera. I think I forgot who it was. I think it's one of your ambassadors were talking about the Vera and how interesting, where to get all the things to actually dress like a Vera. And I was like, that is amazing.
Yes, that's I remember Phoenix Lux of House Nuckify Buckingham Palace.
Yes.
That's their house. It's a very ratchet and regal organization in there. So yes, the Vera is one of their favorite folklore that includes people of color. So we had to definitely pay homage to that.
Yes. And now I know that you have another, I forgot how to say it, but there's another little page on your website. If Lord Strife, what is the name of this? It's with an S. I think it's
Sankofa.
Yes.
Sankofa solstice.
Sankofa. Thank you. Thank you. Lord Strife, will you tell us a little bit about this Sankofa project that you have going on? Because I was seeing that and I was like, oh, I want them to talk about that tonight too.
You're talking about from back in September?
Yes, from back in September. I think there's some kind of, still a little bit up of it on the different pages you have up, but I wanted you to talk more about it because I was like, it's so interesting.
Well, that's more Jasmine's creation. Again, the Sankofa bird is one that she selected, and actually the logo for Black Fae Day isn't it a Sankofa hybrid of a phoenix?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, so that has that meaning and representation for her. And so she was saying that she didn't want Black Fae Day to be it, and so she wanted to actively have events throughout the year, and trying to come up with stuff. And she wanted to have a feast day. So the Sankofa solstice is what she selected, which was the first day of fall, or is it fall or winter?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have a specific date. The Sankofa solstice does fall around the beginning of fall, though. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, and she wanted everybody to show their creations, their food, and offering, whether it be offerings, whether it be things that you would make as a fae to lure humans to you and trick them into eating it and getting, because the fae, like you said, are tricksters.
They are.
Just different things like that, or just even if it was just something that was imaginary, like might not have even really been edible, but just something your brain threw together and was like, you know what, this looks and sounds amazing. If I was a fantastical creature, this is what
Yeah.
I would eat.
Yeah.
And I made some pork chops um, with flowers and peaches, and there were edible flowers, and there were some chrysanthemums. Like, these are dried flowers, and I took pictures and posted them with, the process of me cooking the flowers and different
Mm.
stuff like that. And I had a drink that went with it as well that had flowers in there, and it was. I was
Okay.
kind of hesitant to eat them.
I mean, my favorite flower to eat is a rose. I will say that. I
There
love,
was rose petals in there.
yeah, I
Rose
love
petals.
a raw rose petal. I enjoy eating them. Let me just say hello to a couple people. I want to say hello to Luis Sanchez, who is in our audience.
Hey.
Luis, that's my boy.
Praline. Oh, Luis, he is here saying, commenting and keeping it very lively. Tiff, hello, and was saying that Nuck If You Buckingham Palace is my new home. And
Hey.
Praline, I think it's
Ro,
yes,
Rue.
Praline Row. Hello, also saying hi.
Hi,
And just want to
Kaylin. That's
remind.
one of our bards.
Oh, okay. Hello. Thank you for coming through. And I just wanted to also say, since we have some people in the chat, take a little second, and we are going to say hello to nerdsincharge.com for giving us this opportunity to talk about Black Fae
Yes,
tonight.
thank you.
Feel free to like, subscribe, follow Black Fae Day, and go to headnerdsincharge.com. And then for Black Fae, just take a quick second so we can talk about where they can find you. It's IG is which one?
IG Black Friday official.
Mm-hmm. And then the blackfayday.com is where they can go to the website and see all of these amazing things up. You have pictures on a lot of the pages. Bartastic baby is what I'm seeing here.
Yes.
But yeah, so those are the two websites. It's headnerdsincharge.com and blackfayday.com. So getting back to the two of you, one of the other things that I absolutely loved, and one of the reasons I wanted you, was because I love the idea of giving, especially the Fabies, a chance to dream outside of to work. Just have fun, just believe in this fantasy, and enjoy yourself as a little brown kid. I know that there have been, I think, according to some of the stuff I was reading, that some people from the Asian community had reached out to you to do an Enchanted Asian Day because they saw the success of Black Fae Day. And I love the fact that all these just POCs are coming together and saying, we can dream together outside of this. We don't have to just be in this place working all day and like trying to work really, really hard to do nothing. We can have fantasies, and our kids can have fantasies. And I think that's one of the reasons I absolutely love this idea. Now, what prompted you to now take it to a live version of this? Because I know this year you're doing an official where people can come and actually meet up.
Yeah. We sprouted Black Friday during a time of incredible isolation, and people really need a sense of community. That's why Black Friday happened and is the success that it's been, and that's why Enchanted Asian Day happened, for the Asian community. When this all started, I feel like the Asian and the Black community were hit exceptionally hard during the lockdown years with a lot of racial tension that we had to deal with. And I love that we have this escapism that we can go to together as a community. Um, so to extend that to a physical event was really important to me. I wanted to have a physical presence so that people could see each other and, make it real. It is real, but I think this physical element of community only reinforces those feelings, only reinforces, the fact that we can see each other. We can still have spaces out in the world that are safe for us to explore ourselves and our creativity. And I think it'd be great to just meet up and celebrate together and not be worried about anything. Our venue is Black owned, our guests and
Yeah.
entertainment are Black, it's going to be a very, very big deal. I hoped that it was going to be that way. And the way people are responding and showing up for me is like more than I could even tell you how I appreciate it. It's just overwhelmingly special. I have a lot of gratitude to this community.
Good. I'm happy. And I want to say it's Shayla Kane saying, "Hey y'all," and love the hair.
Thank you.
And I'll say that the other part of the fact that this is going to be a live thing. Now, before this was a live thing, where were y'all going with these looks and this cosplay? Because I saw pictures of a couple of different places. Where was like, hey, this is the place where we can go that we're currently meeting, and this is why I think that there is a place where we need to create for just us.
Oh, it made itself pretty clear in our groups, our Facebook groups. People were constantly asking, "Where can I go?" It's Renaissance Fair season. Where can I go? Or
Mm-hmm.
it's con season. Where are you going to be? So that's when I really realized that we're looking for each other out here in the wild. And so it almost seemed like I didn't have a choice. I needed to make this happen for everyone. And so that's kind of been my attitude. It's just like, I'm going to make as many safe spaces as I can for us. So if that's just one ball, it's a ball. If it's one online event where we're safe and amongst each other, then we're going to do that too. But it sparked so much creativity and such a big voice that we're kind of pushing each other, to be more creative. People are writing stories, people are making operas. And that's why our symbol is the Sankofa. Like the I guess definition behind Sankofa is that there's no shame in going back and retrieving the things that you may have lost over time. And so some of our folklore are things that were passed down orally, were taken from especially African Americans here in the United States. So us and our brothers and sisters in diaspora are reclaiming our folklore, we're reclaiming our sense of wonder and fantasy. And I think it's really important to facilitate that growth so that we have new stories, we have new traditions amongst each other while respecting the old ways as well.
Yeah, and I see that the little part of tap into that culture because it's so true. It's so true. And even as we're talking about the culture, one of the comments on here is from Praline saying it's a very comfortable place to spread your wings and explore being gender fluid, of being a gender fluid being. And I think that one of the things that gets kind of like mixed up in here is this idea of you have to just be straight or gay, or you have to just be male or female. And I was like, that's not our culture, actually. That came from a lot of Europeanism that, it happened. But that's not actually when you read back in the books, when you read back in history, that it was not like two type of people system. And
No.
I think the Fae, especially when it comes to looking deeper into those stories, and Lord Strife, please correct me if I'm wrong, you'll see that there's a lot of gender fluidity. There's a lot of, you don't need to be a man who just happens to just be into women. You can be into whatever you are, especially when you're talking about somebody who's been alive for thousands of years. You're telling me you've been alive for thousands of years, you never once, not a one time, stepped outside. Really? Really?
Right.
Come on. Now you're just being crazy. Now it's just getting ridiculous.
Exactly.
So yeah. And okay. And Shayla was just saying that she found out about HNIC and the blurred. Oh, and the blurred community as a whole. And now I know where I belong. I feel like I'm about to blossom. Good. Oh,
Yes.
come on through.
Blossom.
That's right. Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Head Nurse in Char says welcome, and that is so true. Welcome, Shayla.
Yes.
But as we're talking about the idea of gender, how do you guys, I know you're doing a family friendly event. Do you feel like you're going to be able to encompass the taking away the non-binariness of the gender roles while still offering a full family event? Are you doing anything specific? Do you feel like it's just going to come naturally? Like, what are your thoughts on that part of, like, it's in my mind, being Faye is being queer in some way, and that's me.
Yes.
But there's this thought that, like, oh, well, it's family friendly, so you can't do certain things. So yeah, I'm gonna kick it to both of you. Either one wants to answer.
Black Fae Day is very, very gender fluid, and we're very intentional about that. If you look at our Instagram, we have all kinds of theybies. I call them the theybies. they, but we have all kinds of people. We have plus size people. We have light skin. We have dark skin. We have children. We have elderly. Older people. We are very intentional that Black Fae means black. Like, are you black? Do you have imagination? Okay, well, you're Black Fae then. That's how I see it. Like, so anybody has a problem with that, we are very protective of our space too. You can exit stage left. That's your best opportunity to not, try us. But we want, we really want, yeah, like we exist in the real world. We obviously will exist out here in fantasy as well. So even at our event, our evening entertainment is we're gonna have drag. So and we're gonna have non-binary hosts. So we definitely want to make that inclusive all the way across the board. Yeah, because in our community we have everything. So why not express that in fantasy as well?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it'd be counteractive to the mission of Black Fae Day, if which is all about inclusion and visibility, to be like, oh, not you though. Like,
Right.
you're a part of the group that we're trying to bring that visibility to. So, and matter of fact, that regardless of your personal preference, I'm a straight man. However, I've been out there. There's a guy in the group. His name is Alex, and I can't remember his last name, but I saw him like out in the wild in like another group, and he's got like this colorful hair and extensions, and his beard is colored, and he had his makeup on, and like the lighting was right. I'm like, hey, you need to be in this group. I'm like, I'm like, come on in here with the other magical people, because you're just out in the wild running crazy. You got to get in here.
That's right. Come home first. Come on home.
Yeah.
Come on home.
Alex, yeah, they're beautiful. They are very creative and have really shown. And it was funny because when they did join the group, they're like, I don't dress, as a fairy, but am I okay to be here? I'm like, yes. Just you being you is enough. You're already so magical and inspiring. It was just beautiful to have them tell their story and it be accepted and welcomed, and everybody loved on them and gave them so much support. And now you see them and they're like, I'm on a cover of a magazine. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. So, it's really cool to see.
Yeah, and their journey was kind of similar to how it was being into like fantasy and stuff like that, and being black, and it kind of feels like you're isolated, as like nobody would understand it. You can't be yourself. You can't be how you want to be in public. And that's how their journey was. Like, there's lots of pictures and stuff that they show and post of their before and after, and it's like, after they joined the group, they would have a lot of the hashtags in their pictures and stuff, and they started putting Black Fae in there, because they knew, they're like, I'm one of them. That's me.
Right, exactly. That's right, Sheila. Right, just good. And Praline has said we're Hypekin wait, what is it? Hypekin? Go in. And and Tiffany's over here. She's saying Nuckifew Buckingham House will bounce you right out. Left, right.
Oh, they will. Nuckifew Buckingham is no joke.
Yes. Now, And I love that there's so much love encompassing from everyone. Have you all had to or had any thoughts of what to do if there is someone who is not showing that love and how that's going to go, or what is the process if there is something going on?
Yeah,
Lord
you go
Stripe, I
ahead.
see your hand up. Go right
Okay.
ahead.
I'm a warrior. I don't know if you can see up here. That's my
Yes.
my weapon of choice up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been kind of the shield and protector of different things like that. And sadly we do see stuff like that. I recently posted in the group the other day of some comments of people talking to, it was an unrelated topic, just discussing out in public, but Jasmine was again doing what she always does, and advocating for equality and understanding in the conversation. And people, our people jump in the comments, like trying to
Mhm.
be funny and kiki. And one guy he jumped in there. He was like, "I know you ain't talking with fairy ears on in your profile picture, ha ha." And then some other dude came behind and called her the C
Mhm.
word. Well, there's two C words. The C word for black
Yeah,
folk.
neither one is good.
Yeah, the C word for black folk. But yeah, and it's just ridiculous to still have to deal with stuff like that. And that's a
Mhm.
part of the reason that a lot of people couldn't dress up like fairies. You couldn't, and
Mhm.
there's stuff from like white people and stuff like that they would have to deal with. Like I said, my entire thing that I was preparing for was white people. But so far, I personally have only dealt with one white person that was questioning something, and
Right.
he was of Irish and Gaelic origin, and he felt some kind of way about the use of
Mhm.
the word "fae." And that's when I broke it down for him, saying like, "Look, I understand that this is how this started with the she of the Gaelic culture and stuff like that, having to, being protective of their homes. And that's what a part of the reason that fae and fairies are protective of their homes, is because it's representative of actual people who were forced out of their home in the Gaelic
Mhm.
culture. Because at one point, the Gaelic Empire was consuming most of Europe,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
they were sent, and basically it was like these islands, like a portion of the island, at certain points. So I understood that, and I guess he wasn't expecting that to come out. I guess
Yeah.
he just thought it was somebody hijacking the word, and I was like, look, I understand, but through, again, etymology, evolution of the use of a
Right.
word, and like colloquial use, you go and you Google "fae" on the internet, you're not going to just get fairies. And
Yep.
all of these things have been relegated as fae.
Yep.
And so I broke it down to them. But there's other people, like from day one, I've had to be that. And like I said again, I was thugging in these streets. Jasmine had to kind of adapt my behavior to be an admin and a co-founder, because people was coming out and like trying to counteract what her goal was, and try to say, "Oh no, this is what Black Fed is." I'm like, "You're talking to the
Mm.
person who created it. How are you gonna tell her what it is?" And then those are the people, like day one. I know we were talking earlier about you looking and finding other copycat groups and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but that wasn't just people riding the wave. That was day one.
Mhm.
People had literally, like she said, copied the group, copied the banner that she made for the
Mm.
background, copied the description of the group. So that's part of the reason why it's Black Fae Community, to kind of separate and let you know, okay, well, Black Fae Day is the page, Black Fae Community is where we reside. So
Right.
that's it. So there's been a lot of like fighting and to stay and maintain, and I'm
Yeah.
that guard, and I hold that armor for her. And yeah, she had to get me right, because I was talking to people reckless, because they was talking to me reckless. You can't talk to me any kind of way and then get sensitive once I talk back to you.
That's that computer courage is what I call it. Now you got a computer in front of you and you ready to be courage to show this courage, and it's like, wait, what
You're
happened?
right.
Yeah,
We
you jump
we
back
just
because
did, yeah.
you and all your virtual friends out here in the group, and you think because it's five of y'all that one wild dude ain't finna come out here and act a fool over his lady.
No.
Because there's one
Well,
person.
and I mean, even as we're fluent and reckless over here,
Yeah.
um, and I think that's one of the other things is that even with those words and things like that, there are a whole bunch. I mean, there's more than just one or two who are Black and of Gaelic and Irish and Celtic descent. So
Yes.
even when they say that kind of stuff, I'm like, okay, I'm not against it. What I'm telling you is, why would you think that when you already have chocolate up in there, the chocolate wouldn't, are like, we're connected from the chocolate that came
Yeah.
over
Oh
all
yeah, I brought
across.
that up
So if
too.
you see one, you see us all. What were you saying, Lord Strife?
Oh, I was saying I brought that up too. The fact that a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, you're stealing from Irish culture. You're stealing from European culture." I'm like,
Mm,
first of all, there's black fairies and fays and stuff like that. There's all these creatures
mm-hmm.
happen to exist and happen to be in the lore of all of these places: Asia, Africa. Europeans aren't the only people to create that. The word fay
Right.
might be of Gaelic origin, but the creature is not. And not only that, but black people um, existed like tens of thousands of years outside beyond the Mesopotamian peninsula. It was just like last year or the year before that scientists had discovered that, and they're like, "Oh, well,
Mm-hmm.
people from Africa had migrated beyond this point tens of thousands of years before we expected or before we thought." Which means when all of these cultures were here, black people been there.
Mm-hmm.
You think we're gonna go there and just not be a part of that? Like when all of these
We're just
cultures
sitting outside,
merged
like
and
no, like
empires,
Yeah.
nobody.
there
Right.
just was no black people. We just went out there and was chilling. Like, oh, you just gonna watch what y'all doing.
Yeah. We're not gonna talk to anybody though. We ain't gonna talk to nobody and tell nobody nothing. Lord
Yeah.
knows that we like to talk, many of us. So I don't know how you think.
Right.
I
We
am.
very much are global people.
Shayla said, I've done the DNA test and research. I'm 1/5 British Irish. I trace my lineage back to Africa and I think it's Asani people of Europe. So yeah,
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot, and I think the thing about a lot of this is it's not just the representation for the younger generation so that they can dream. It's also a matter of us embracing all aspects of our heritage. There
Yeah.
is a level of fae in every culture, whether it's a fairy, whether it's a demon, whether it's a specific type of creature, it goes all together. And I love the idea of us embracing it together and building our own lore for nowadays. The lore that's there is fantastic, but being able to build on it, like I can't say that I knew if Disney didn't come out with it when I was younger, I wasn't going to see it. It's just the truth. I didn't know where to find other people who were into interesting sci-fi, into fantasy, and digging that deep. And cosplaying definitely gave me an outlet to use a lot of that like imagination that I just felt like I hadn't really used in school because we were supposed to be working, we were supposed to be learning. And the idea of just having it all come together and be built on, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
That was
It's beautiful.
the Fae of the day that I had mentioned, because again, lots of people just didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, lots of people you mentioned Fae, and Fae equals fairy, fairy equals Tinkerbell.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know what I mean? And so when I was sharing the Fae of the day, it was Native American culture, it was
Mm-hmm.
Asian culture, it was African cultures, because I included the information. I wasn't just looking and being like, oh, this looks like a magical thing post.
Right.
No, I took the information from these informational educational articles and included in there. And if it was, and I
Mm-hmm.
put the source. So if it was a source that was kind of more of a fantasy kind of world building type of thing, I would make sure I included it in there so you understood that. If it was something that spoke of, this being originated in the folklore of these peoples there during this time, that I included that in there. So there's lots of educational stuff in there, and I'm gonna reshare those shortly. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
trying to step on toes, being the Viera week, so I didn't want to post all that and bury
Right.
but soon I'll reshare all of those as a refresher
Awesome.
again.
Yeah.
It's not
I think it's
now.
just so important. Yeah.
No, go
Just
ahead.
because, you know, blackness isn't one type of blackness. Like we have so many
Mm,
different lineages
mm,
and stories of why we are who we are
mm.
today, and we have to be respectful of that. And when we are doing that research for the folklore, and let those people know, yes, like if this is a part of your heritage, embrace it too, because that's who makes you. So there is a lot of childhood, healing some traumas when we come out here in wings and things like that. But there's also ancestral wounds that we're addressing and really confronting. And I don't think people outside of minority communities kind of understand how heavy that is to look at this and say, okay, well, where do I fit in folklore, and then you find out, where you fit and how it came to be, confronting that and then turning it, flipping it into something good and something hopeful and something that you can enjoy. It's definitely been a work that I've enjoyed for myself. It's brought a lot of healing. So I really hope that for everyone else as they're embracing, their fantasies as well.
Go ahead.
And one more thing, I just wanted to say that if anybody was interested to go themselves and find any of the articles or the information that I posted about, because I posted in our public group as well. So if you want to go on Facebook and search for Fae of the Day, which day is DAE, so FAE of the DAE, they'll pop up in there and you'll be able to see some of the different ones and read all about the different things from different cultures and see how they match up and line up with creatures that you might have already seen and be like, oh well, I thought this belonged to white folk.
Yep. Nope. And I think as we're kind of winding ourselves down and finishing up for the night, one thing that I do want to hear from both of you, what other, I guess, project or beyond just this amazing in-person, I'm sorry, wait, let me back up. When is the in-person? Let's start there. When is the in-person that people can get their tickets and all that stuff? Tell us about it. When is that happening?
Yeah, our fairy tale gala, Land versus Sea, is going to be on May 15th, and that's going to be in Riverdale, Georgia, at Chalet Gardens. So definitely come out. We have links to our Eventbrite on our website, on our Facebook, and on our Twitter account. So you can definitely get tickets for that. We would really, really, really hope you come out because there's a ton of planning and trying to make this special for you guys has been a monumental task, but it's worth it. And I want you to experience everything. Oh, and we'll have vendors there. I know Queenly Conjure is going to be there. They're like the first Black tea house in New Orleans. They're going to be there. We have a lot of other vendors in the community. So we want you to support those small businesses as well.
And I know you all also have you guys were promoting a meetup at Katsucon, which is Katsucon has happened or is happening?
Yeah. That was yesterday. We had a meetup at Katsucon.
Yes.
And
you guys do meetups kind of regularly at some of these bigger cons that come through. So joining, whether it be a list or whether it be the Discord, you'll get another opportunity to really connect with folks. Not that everybody shouldn't go to Georgia, but more of if you cannot, there are other meetup ways and other ways to connect. So going to blackfaeday.com, you will see a lot of different places. So do not feel like, oh, I'm just in this little bitty hub of things that I can't connect. No, there's plenty of opportunities, plenty, for you to live your best fae life.
You guys need to look because my title is Halcyon Guild Mistress. So you really need to sign up for those emails because we do have a guild coming up. Okay. So if you want to join us in hanging out in some of the Renaissance Fair circuits, we're doing a lot of work talking to organizers, trying to vet out where safe communities are for Black people in the Renaissance Fair kind of field. I know that's where a lot of fantasy and exploring can happen. We went to our first Renaissance Fair at Ohio Ren Fest. It was so much fun. Great people. You'll love it. But yes, be on the lookout for our guild as well so that you can join in and have a safe group to go frolic in public with.
Yeah, that mission of visibility was really tangible when Jasmine and I went to the Ohio Ren Fest, because even there were vendors there that were like, yeah, we typically don't see this many Black people
Mm-hmm.
here, and just and that meant a lot because a lot of people came out to see us because we had announced we'd be there. So a lot of them met
Yeah.
up and we took pictures, and Jasmine was interviewed. And, it was my first time going to anything like a Ren Fest and anything like that. And we walked
Oh,
around.
you looked like you just, I saw the pictures and I was like, you look like you just fit right in. I saw the feathers and I was like, oh, he is
Yeah.
here. He is here.
Yeah. So, people
Sucking it up
were
at the Red
coming up.
Fest.
People were coming up wanting to take pictures with us. We got to meet the king and the queen
Yes.
of the.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Any Ren Fair.
Yes,
Oh,
we
yes.
did.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
hey.
she
Yep.
complimented my
Hey,
feathers.
you know that face. Yes.
That's my man. Oh,
So yeah, as we're seeing more and more um of this movement of people coming together, and I love that you're looking for safe spaces for everybody to come and be, especially at Ren fairs and things like that. Because being the only pepper in a sea full of salt can be overwhelming. So
yes.
let the pepper collect. Um,
Yeah.
and that's all. So they can get to the email through the website, which is blackfayday.com. Once again, blackfayday.com. Now, what project beyond just the meetup are you excited about working on that you feel comfortable sharing from either one of you?
Oh, the guild is a massive project, really. And again, Phoenix Lex of Nucket View Buckingham Palace is another collaborator in that project who's done a lot of research, a lot of prep to try to get this guild up and running. So we've been working really hard. I mean, it'll have everything from badges, like you'll have a personalized badge with your number so that you are that guild member.
Mm,
There's a flag, there's songs, there's everything that a guild outside of Black Friday would have. We're going to have it too, but we're going to make it our culture and our own thing. So I'm really excited about that and to launch it. And there will be some things like community service so that we can bring awareness and do some charity work together. But I feel like as many opportunities as we can have to get together as a community, the better. It just strengthens the nerd culture in general, so that we can have more conversations like this across the board with each other. But just being able to support each other. I've met so many Black businesses since then. Like, it's incredible just to be like, hey, we like fairies, but I also make makeup. And I'm like, okay, well, let me buy makeup. I'm always on camera. So, I'm supporting business because we have community. And it's just really important
yeah.
economically for all of us. So, this guild project means a lot to me.
Now, the Guild project, are you taking donations towards the project to help with the funding of it, or are you just making it all happen?
I quietly launched a Patreon.
I know you did. I'm sorry.
Um,
I'm just saying it out loud because I was like, I know you're trying to be quiet about it, but I really want you to say something about this, or Lord Strife can say something about it. Either one.
She's
you go ahead.
really humble when it comes to asking for money,
I
but
saw that.
people need to understand, and I feel like if they understood, because a lot of people came out when we announced that Black Friday was trademarked, that Black Friday is a business. The reason being is back to that story that I told you. Day one, people were trying to snatch it out of her hands. I bought the trademark because I'm like, no, again, that shield, that protector, you're not finna do this. So, and that's why, a lot of people will use the term Black Friday for their events and their gatherings. We're like, that's fine on Black Friday, because that's what it is. It's Black Friday. But if it's November and you're saying you're having a Black Friday meetup, that's confusing. And that can have someone think that Jasmine's associated with that or affiliated, and if something happens, God forbid, then it's like, oh, this is the organizer of this event. It did this and did that. And it's like, no. And it's a lot of frustration that goes with that. But as far as like getting funding and setting up different things and events, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's just being greedy. Like, no. Most stuff we're doing is out of pocket, and even the stuff that's not out of pocket is through charitable people, and that is, there's no profit to that.
Right.
there's a mission, and Jasmine, like she said, supporting the small business owners. We post those. There's lots of people who own small businesses and stuff related in fantasy and stuff, and have preached and said that their customer base, their sales, all of this has increased thanks to Jasmine, and that's her mission, is that
We
visibility.
don't charge either.
Yes, I noticed
There's
that
no-
as well. That's why I was like, let's talk about these donations. So what is the website that we can go to if people do want to give and do want to support so that you all can keep this going and keep our culture in our minds, keep the fantasy, the just all of it, all the fae and all of our family can come together. What is this website?
Okay, we're on Patreon/Black Fade. You
Okay.
can see us there.
Okay. Is that the only one?
We do have a GoFundMe,
Okay.
I believe. Yeah, if you're on our Instagram or our link tree has all the links to where you can support us. Tickets, tickets that will help a lot. Buying the ticket. Our GoFundMe page is on there, our Patreon's on there. So any way that you want to support us, we have a link tree /Black Fade as well. So you
buy
can look
those
that up.
tickets.
Yeah.
Buy the
Pre-sales started
tickets.
February 1st.
Yeah.
Yes. Abby wanted to let you know, girl, you look amazing. Just had to mention.
Thank
Then
you.
I will continue listening. So Abby's letting you know you look amazing.
Thank you, Abby.
So I think that was kind of the culmination because we just need to support stuff like this. Just like we're talking about our culture, just like we were talking about giving our babies an opportunity to really dream, our dollars have to be that support just as much as ourselves. So yes, patreon.com/blackfayday. That's right on the Patreon.
Yes.
All right. And there is a GoFundMe, but if you want to look at all of it, it's Linktree. That's linktr.ee/blackfayday. Yep, I see you put it up, Praline. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Praylin.
Thank you, Praline. Already on it, bar. Doing it bar-tastic, like you said. Doing it bar-tastic.
Yes.
Thank you. So yeah, I just want everyone to take that time, even if you cannot go to one thing, if you cannot go to another thing, even this your $5, your $10, because you're like, man, those horns look great. Ooh, I love those butterflies. Support your friends with money. That's so true. If you got it,
Yeah.
if you don't, and it's just like, hey, I can't support with money, but I'd like to be part of the email list. Great. Even if you tell
Yes.
people about it, you don't know who your friends are or who they have access to. So just talking about it, following it, all these things are super helpful, especially with something that is new and that we are trying to really make into a bigger thing for us, for our culture. So once again, if you want to go ahead and find out more about Black Fayday, where can they go? Lord Strife, we'll go ahead and have you do it. Where can they go to find out more about Black Fayday?
Look, my memory is terrible. You're gonna have to ask Jasmine.
Oh, okay.
I can just tell you. I can just tell you where we're at.
So
You trying to get
founder,
URLs
again,
and stuff?
go.
I'm like,
You're like, I am so.
BlackFayday.com.
That's right.
Yes, you
BlackFayday.com.
can go to blackfayday.com. You'll find everything there. Our Facebook and Instagrams are very active at Black
Yes.
Fayday Official. Yeah.
Yes. And the TikTok. That's where I first.
TikTok.
Yep, on TikTok as well. I think you're Black Fayday official on TikTok too. And finally, as we're closing out, I just want to give that last shout out to headnerdsincharge.com. Like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube, to the Patreon. Get yourself some merch and do all of those things. And Abby just had one last comment. I'm about to sub because of those butterflies. Also, everything you guys are talking about is so relatable and needed. Yes, Abby, I completely agree.
Thank
I
you,
completely agree,
Abby.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
so
you for
sweet.
that love.
and also, people can join the Facebook groups.
Yeah.
The private group, the safe space for us is Black Fae Community. Black Fae Community on Facebook, and the public group, if you don't identify as Black or just want to support your allies, or if you want your post to be visible so that everybody can share that, because not everybody wants their stuff out in the public, but if you do and want it to be shared and be viewed by everybody, because the point is visibility, we have a group that's Black Fae Every Day, and so it's Black Fae Community and Black Fae Every Day.
Ah, this is beautiful. Well, I want to thank you both so much for coming on, for just embracing the spectacle tonight with us here in the Fox Den. It was so lovely having you both. I see Pralines putting up the TikTok so that people can go ahead and follow you. And thank you to everybody who commented. And again, feel free, reach out, follow, like, subscribe to headnerdsincharge.com. You can go ahead and follow us on all the different social media. It's Head Nerds in Charge. And the website to get your merch, headnerdsincharge.com. And go ahead and take a minute and also look at blackfayday.com. Thank you both for being here. And thank you, everybody, for being here as well and embracing the spectacle with us tonight. Have a good night, y'all.
Good night. Thank you.
In the crossfire. It's caught in the crossfire. Caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the crossfire.